Well, my speech says, thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's a problem. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, folks, it certainly has been a crazy year. I realize now that I'm to blame for all the craziness, coronavirus and all. And it's not China, Replefave. You see, about Christmas time last year, I told Alex, you know what? This is going to be a nice, easy year. The focus is all going to be on the future legislators. We'll get the budget done by June this time. And for sure, with all those vetoes behind us, summer will be a nice, quiet time with little going on for us. Lame duck will be even better. What could possibly happen? So this serves as my formal apology, everyone. For this final farewell of mine, it is only appropriate that the great majority of it be gratitude. I'd like to thank Almighty God first, just as our Constitution does. Some people know the story that got me here, but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for His ultimate plan regarding our true first child who miscarried at Christmas 2013. I could never have imagined the path that would bring me here then, but God knew, and I have faith that we'll see our two children one day that we won't ever get to see on this earth. I'm grateful to God for His divine providence and care for me and my family, and for granting me the blessing of having been here. When I was victorious back in the summer of 2014, my dad, who's with us today, painted a huge sheet of plywood with the words, "To God be the glory," and planted it in their yard by the road because he recognized that divine providence. I'll never forget seeing those words for several weeks, and I'll always live by them. I want to thank all my family, a few of whom are here. My dad and several others from my family are up in the gallery. To my dad and mom, Scott and Becky, I can't thank you enough. You all fueled the weird political desires of a nerdy little boy and put up with me for many years, helping me immensely to get here. To them and all my family watching via House TV, hello, and I love you. Then there is my Grandma Miller, who at 92 years old is here to join me in the Capitol for the first time. Welcome to your state capitol, Grandma. She's a political animal, a Facebook junkie, and a real spitfire. She taught me how to love God with all my heart, and aside from Alex, she has to be my #1 fan. Grandma, I love you, and I'm so glad you could be here finally. To my 93,735 constituents who sent me here, thank you. It's more humbling and a higher honor than I can ever say to represent two beautiful counties in down-home, small-town, southern Michigan in my state's legislature. I don't know if it gets any better than having the privilege of representing home where I was born and raised. I'll never forget this great honor you've given me, and I've given back all I can, and I will continue to do so. I'd like to thank the government ops team from the Michigan State Police that I was able to work with. 2 of them are here. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Diener. She will be the colonel someday, mark my words. You heard it from me first. She's just that good. Retired First Lieutenant Tim Fitzgerald is here. Fitz and I were once wrapping up a tour of the Lansing Forensics Lab, and he asked me if I had just 10 more minutes time. I kind of looked confused. I told him that I was running late already for a committee. He said that's too bad, because he wanted to know if I had time to shoot a forfeited Vietnam-era Chinese-made automatic that made its way over here to a crime in Detroit. I was never happier to miss a committee. It was like shooting up pure adrenaline into my veins, and I snubbed the subcommittee, no sweat. When I fell asleep at the wheel in Marshall on my way home one Thursday with my daughter in the car, Fitz and his wife Denise were there for me. That meant an awful lot, Fitz. Thanks for being here. Sergeant Matt Williams, Sergeant Chris Gerard, and Sergeant Nicole McGee are holding down the fort now, and I've enjoyed working with them immensely. All 5 have become dear friends. You'll have serious trouble finding more talented and respectful individuals than they. To all of you, it's been a great honor working with you, and thank you for your service to this state. To Karen Marion, Mike Batterby, Aaron Van Langeveld, all of whom I was able to work with as elections chair, and all of whom are here, I want to thank you. We accomplished so much good and stopped so much bad. Even though our names weren't on the bills and history won't recognize us as the architects, we were the ones who made online voter registration happen more securely than paper registration. I'll never forget how we did it, and I'll never really believe it either. Those are three of the wisest individuals I'll ever happen upon meeting. To Brad Weaver, thank you, sir. It's been a great honor. Brad has put in so much work these last 2 years doing so many different jobs that I have to wonder how Brian Mills isn't breaking some labor protection law or something like that. Brad worked like a dog just with school aid alone, and I wouldn't have been able to do my job without him. We made an amazing team, Brad, and I'm going to miss working with you a lot. Thank you. To some other residents of DeWitt, my good friends Tom and Janelle Leonard who are here, a huge thank you. You've been two of Alex's and my best friends here, and we have appreciated your wisdom and friendship. When I did have time to stay in Lansing, in the terrible event that session went after midnight, Tom and Janelle always had their door open and Aaron's bedroom saved and ready. You're like our family, and we love you guys. Tom, you want to go to Cracker Barrel later and grab some coffee? Oh, wait. I would love to, though. Later. To my most significant mentors here, former Representative Scott Hummel and former Senator John Prose, I couldn't have done this job without your guiding hands on my shoulders. I'm grateful for your wisdom, your faith, and your time you spent on me out of the goodness of your heart. My first call and a need for prayer is you, Scott. And I've never seen anyone do this job better and with more poise than the one and only Senator John Prose, ever. Thank you both, gentlemen. To all the staff here, you're the forgotten ones in this crazy merry-go-round. We don't take time enough to thank you. And I'm not just mentioning you here. I've tried to get to know you all for 6 years. To the sergeants, the MSP Capitol Security, and tour guides I hang out with all the time, I've tried to stop and chat every single day to make your day better. Thank you for making this Capitol what it is. To the clerks, journal clerks, resolution clerks, and bill clerks, you've held a special place in my heart too. To the HFA team, I will miss all of you. We've had so many good conversations about budgets over 6 years. There's so much talent in that office and yet zero ego. David Dixon, Matt Van Acker, Marion Cleary, and Gary Randall, you're living legends, and your names will echo in these halls long after you're gone. To the other staff here who I've had the pleasure of working with often, thank you for being the real gears turning the whole operation. To Paul Holland, Kent Dell, Bethany Wixel, Sam Christensen, Jacqueline Mullen, Rich Adams, Joelle Demand, Alice Mansfield, Rachel Doan, Christina Genthner, Tim Martin, John Perry, Jeff Barron, Andy Brancato, Justin Easter, Molly Wingrove, Elizabeth Cutter, Nathan Kissling, Josiah Kissling, Brandon Lanyon, Brian Mills, Scott Hummel, Aaron Van Langeveld, Derek Robinson, and Ann Blankenhorn. I'm forever grateful for what you did selflessly for me and my constituents. Thank you for your service. And now for my poor staff who have put up with me over 6 years, thank you for more than I can ever hope to list out. To Susan Martin, Marla Braun, Michael Wisniewski, Aaron Chatfield, and Jacob Boyer, if you had a dime for every time you probably thought to yourself, who in the world is this guy? I probably wouldn't have had to pay you. I can't say enough thanking all of you for all that you did to work with me as a team. We did a bang-up job. To all the staff above, you became my friends, not just my coworkers. And I tried to take care of all of you the best I could. To my beautiful daughters, JL, Leah, and Anna, I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much. I've enjoyed taking you here so many times, but I'm so glad to be able to work closer to home now for you three. If you haven't taken a nursing baby to the Capitol alone before for a whole day, seriously, changing poopy diapers on the floor of the thatch room with other representatives watching, probably gaping, you should try it sometime. It was an experience. Stephanie Chang, if you're listening, take your kids on the Senate floor as many times as you care to, as many times as possible just for me and the girls. And when the idiots say stupid stuff, do me a favor and just don't listen to them. Finally, last but not least, I need to thank the love of my life, the glue that kept everything in one piece, the one who made it all happen, my encourager, my biggest critic and biggest fan, the one who made it all come together, my beautiful wife, Alex. I don't even know where really to start. You're simply just a champ. Alex has been a wonderful mother and supporting wife through tough times, She is the star of the last 6 years, not me. Alex went into contractions with our second daughter right over there, near where Darren is sitting. That was on opening day in 2017. I chuckled at the time and said that, hey, maybe the Capitol could see its first birth here, babe. And she did not think it was very funny. She went into labor back home in 2018. That was with Anna when I was deep into the night, and Sherry was preaching about something I don't remember at 3:30 in the morning. Joelle remembers that one very well, and she kicked me out of here quickly when we were all done. Many members have always noticed how I go home each night, sometimes painstakingly so, and only to drive home, sleep, and drive straight back. I've done it for Alex and my girls. Babe, one last time, I'm so happy to tell you I'm finally coming home. All right, here we go. I've quite enjoyed my seatmates over the years. Ed McBroom, you'll be a lifelong friend and brother, and we'll always be back to Melody Dale Farms real soon. I'm so glad Ed is back here in Lansing by what I believe to be divine appointment. The Michigan legislature is a better organization because Ed McBroom is serving in office here. God really doesn't make statesmen any better, and that's a fact. Ed, you will now remember for the rest of our lives how we finally got you-know-what done. No one can ever take that from us. Great speech on that pivotal May 24th. Yes, I've got the date memorized. I want you to know how much I look up to you. You're the wise older brother I never had. Steve Johnson, what in the world did I write here? Is just as honorable a man. Oh, man. Steve really does get a lot of grief here from his colleagues for the way he votes. But, when did I write this? Just kidding. There aren't intentions in this room that are higher than Steve's. No member, and I mean not one, puts in as much research into policy as he does. It's true. But don't be offended now. It's only because he doesn't have a girlfriend. I'm going to try and fix that, Steve. I'm dead serious on that, too. I'll find Mrs. Johnson. Again, Steve's honor is unimpeachable. That is until I heard from a very trustworthy source not 2 weeks ago that he stole the Detroit Bull book and did something crazy with it. I was disappointed to hear that, Steve. Either you have very bad character or you have a lot of talent for getting over to Detroit on that election night. I never thought that Representative Roger Victory's successor could possibly be as honorable or have as high integrity, and I'm happy to say that I was dead wrong. Luke Meerman, I have a deep respect for you and your character. I'll never forget driving into Lansing with you and Victoria to get No Fault done. Maybe you didn't feel like it, but I felt like we were the cavalry reinforcements riding in late from Holland. It's been great getting to know you in Bible study. I'm going to miss all three of you. To Tom Barrett, Joe Bellino, Brad Paquette, Tristan Cole, Lee Chatfield, Ronnie Peterson, Joe Tate, Bob Kozowski, John Kivla, Adam Zemke, Amanda Price, Lisa Lyons, Al Pasholka, the Bible Study Group, the No Fault Reform Club, that's a real thing. Team Southwest, the Youpers, Tom, Ed, Scott, John, Bo, Sarah, Greg. You were all just a few of my best friends here. We shared great times, and I'll miss you all. By the way, you won't find anybody who will advocate for good policy over their party as much as you will from the Youpers. There were just a few stories I'll treasure in my heart for a long time. May 30th, 2019 was a magical day for me, as it was for a lot of us. Many of you know that I never went to the Detroit Regional Chamber Conference because I didn't want to taint my view of Mackinac Island. It's true. However, they went and scheduled the no-fault reform bill signing to be right at that conference. It was annoying. I walked up to the table at the event, and the lady told me that I wasn't a registered guest. I know, I said, but I just need to get into that bill signing. She was firm and said, no, and I was fairly distraught as I had driven to Mackinac City and sailed over just for that, and I really didn't see anybody I recognized there. Joe Tate. You out there, Joe? Somewhere. Joe Tate and Tom Barrett must have heard the commotion because they walked over and surrounded me on either side. It was Joe who said in his soft but rather convincing voice, "Excuse me, gentlemen, this gentleman has to get into that bill signing." And I've never seen someone print a pass as fast as that lady did. And that was a magical day. I left at 3:30 a.m. and I was home for dinner. Legislators are funny people. They had to put in double doors in these chambers so the senators could get their heads through the doors. Present company accepted, Ed. We also like to talk, and I'm guilty at that, albeit acutely aware of my weakness. At a 4-H event a few years ago at the church across the street, the facilitator found that out the hard way. There were many legislators at this breakfast, and he said that he was going to pass the mic around the room. Red flag number 1. He casually said, "Give us your name, district number, where you're from, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your district." And I'm thinking, stop. A whole 12 minutes later, he had only gotten through Larry Inman and Wayne Schmidt, and he realized he'd made a serious mistake. But we got to hear a lot about Traverse City. Apparently, it's a fine place. Like I say, legislators are funny people. Speaking of Larry was my seatmate on the Appropriations Committee my first term. And let's just say that I once believed that Amelia Earhart was settled history and that surely no one was looking for her. You're a good man, Larry. As a freshman, I was pretty naive of what was outside my appropriations world. There was apparently this huge energy fight, some of you will remember, in the Energy Committee, rocking Lansing, and I was just minding my own sweet little business. In my second year, I organized a really cool trip to Argonne National Laboratory in Illinois to learn about nuclear energy. I invited all legislators, but only 2 took me up on it. It just happened to be Eric Nesbitt, the chair, and Gary Glenn, the vice chair. They were in this huge feud, and I had no idea whatsoever. So here I am with Eric Nesbitt, Gary Glenn, and poor Marla, all in my Chevy Malibu on the Indiana Toll Road, and things just seemed tense in the car. I was confused. I didn't know the energy bills were going on or anything like that. Things are pretty good in the appropriations bubble, my friends. There were many other stories and good times and good deeds, too many to say. On a somber note, Earl Pileski and I traveled to Trooper Chad Wolf's funeral together. We watched Aaron Wolf and their 4 young children have to cope with having no daddy, no husband. I cried like a baby at that funeral, but around 6,000 people heard the gospel of Jesus Christ that day, and I trust that God and the MSP family are taking good care of the Wolf family today. On a lighter note, I used to refer to that plucky county northeast of Detroit as Macomb County, right up until coming to the State House, no joke. I had never been to Macomb County. I had never even met a person from there, ever. In my first few weeks, 2 really nice reserve gentlemen named Pete Lucido and Ken Goike taught me that our state has a variety of different people. Both got in separate conversations with me and were swearing and yelling a couple inches from my face about some MSP issue. And I was this little West Michigander, I didn't know what hit me. Speaking of Macomb County, there was that time Jack Brandenburg, whom I had never met, very openly came over to this House floor and wanted his campaign debt back. He sauntered over to the floor and right in the middle of session demanded to know if I was Aaron Miller. If he would have been a little nicer, we would have thought at least a little bit before killing that bill. There was doing steps in the Capitol while speeches were going on, dodging Joelle's mom look when she was looking for me for a vote. Something that happened too often, sorry Joelle. Good conversations on late session nights. Marty Hauerlach taught our caucus colorful words for bad bills. He once said, and everybody that was there will remember, "I wouldn't vote for this if you poured acid in my eyes." And I wish I could remember the bill. You're a good egg, Marty. I was taught how the Kislings and the Kylans could take over a town and run the whole place and do it without anybody even noticing. You guys are good people. There were so many constituent assistance stories, but the ones that I'll remember are the ones where people saw that I cared. Those were so much more important than getting bills done here. Speaking of getting bills done, my top accomplishments in that arena have to be reforming Michigan's large quantity water withdrawal code, and of course, getting no-fault reform done and doing the legislatively impossible. Both of those pale in comparison, though, to my greatest accomplishment as a state representative. In December 2014, 6 years ago, my younger brother, a neighbor across the street, told me, "Aaron, if you go to Lansing and become someone you're not, I'm going to punch you in the face." And my greatest accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen, was never having been punched in the face by Isaac Miller. Thanks, Isaac, for keeping me grounded. I've tried to exhibit honesty, honor, respect, and thoughtfulness while here, and above all, the fruit of the Spirit. I've been getting asked for about 2 years what I'm going to be doing next. I keep telling people that I'm retiring. Joe, babe, I think you know what I'm doing next. What am I doing next? I'm going into the bank. That's right. I'll be working at Sturgis Bank and Trust, cutting my teeth in loans and business development, helping Sturgis Bank to grow. I'm very excited about that. Banking is people, trust, process, and math. I've been doing all four in teaching and legislating so far, and I think I'm going to fit well there and have fun. Sturgis Bank takes great joy in running a community bank with a high reputation and sowing into the community with time and investment. What more could I ask for? I'm extremely honored by the opportunity to go work where I've banked since I was a kid and where they treat you like family. And maybe best of all, going from here to there, I literally get to walk to work. Pretty pumped about that. Thank you all for your service. This is not a light job. You all have meant so much to me, and I've appreciated that every step of the way. It's been a great ride and an honor serving with all of you, and to have been able to serve the best state ever, pure Michigan. Alex, we did it. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and to God be the glory.